What's up guys, duarktikhq with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to talk about the Web Warriors and the death, finally the death of the Web Warriors. We no longer have to invest on these characters, and that's a great thing. That's a great thing. With the announcement of the Rebirth team, we as a Bio-Ray team, we don't longer have any justification to invest on the Web Warriors. And overall that's a good thing, because this team was never good. It was okay inside of raids, it was okay when you're punching down on the content, but they have way too many flaws, and the fact that they have zero value outside of raids, that always cripple them down in terms of value in other game modes, because it's important. We have to realize that it's important not only having value in one specific mode, you want characters to have value in other game modes as well. So in this video we are going to talk about that, and in other videos we are going to talk about the Rebirth specifically. We are going to talk about the 3 new characters, and then we are going to talk about Captain America and Winter Soldier, and which other characters should you pair up with this team, because in my opinion you don't need the full Rebirth team. So this is gonna be something that we are going to talk about. So next video, the new characters of the Rebirth team, the video after, the Captain America Winter Soldier rework, and characters that you should have into consideration to pair them up with, and maybe you don't have to invest on all the new characters on the Rebirth team. So as always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash the like button. Okay, so as always, there is some idiots out there that are saying that no, the Web Warriors are not dead. The Web Warriors have been dead for a very long time, and if you think otherwise, you are sleeping under a rock, or I don't know, you don't get enough sunlight for sure, and this is why your brain is not functioning properly, because the Web Warriors, they have been dead for a long time. This is a team that is pretty much a zombie team, that it has been dragging itself out in terms of the content, and also in terms of the relevance, because the relevance is just for raids, and that's it. They were never good in Alliance Wars, they were never good in Cosmic Crucible. You could use maybe one or other characters like Miles with the Young Avengers, Spider-Man on some other teams, but Spider-Punk, Ghost Spider, and Scarlet Spider, they were never good anywhere. You had to almost force yourself to justify the value of these characters, taking them for example for Dark Dimension, which was terrible. Taking either of these characters for Dark Dimension, it was a pain in the ass, because they don't provide anything outside of raids. They don't provide anything. Then you had to have situations like this, where you need Scarlet Spider with Healer Eyes 08, just to make sure that they are consistent enough for you to one-shot the nodes on difficulty 4 on the Doom 3 raids. And thinking about doing Doom raids at 3.5, it would be impossible with this team, because they are not balanced enough. Okay, so let's take a look at exactly that. I have talked about this many times in the past, but just going through their kit very quickly. So Scarlet Spider on his basic attack supposedly applies offense down, defense down, and slow to the enemies. It's only for 1 turn, so depending on the turn meter of the enemies, this is going to be super effective or not. And then outside of raids, it doesn't do anything, which is terrible. Then you have this ability that extends certain type of negative effects, but you need himself to apply the negative effects, but the negative effects only last for 1 turn. So how are you going to extend the negative effects that you have to apply with his own character? So this was another flaw in terms of design. Then the only thing useful was the ultimate. You do a lot of damage to all characters and you dispel them, and that's it. In raids, clears all positive effects. Outside of raids, it clears just a few. It was never a good ability. The damage was also very inconsistent, because for you to do massive damage with this character, you need him as a raider, and you cannot use him as a raider because you need him as a healer or as a skirmisher, whether you want more healing or whether you want negative effects. And then the passive in raids, I hate this phrase. I said it many times. I hate this phrase. In raids does this, in raids does that. Yeah, okay, but we have 6 other game modes where you're not going to do anything. And it was a problem with the web warriors. They lacked HP, they lacked damage, they lacked everything outside of raids. They didn't have the negative effects. And another problem with this team is the Oz formula. Now it has another name, experimental formula. It was all the characters require these. Maybe we'll have the same problem with this Rebirth team. It might be the case as well. But with this team, with the Web Warriors, it were 4 characters that require these items. And then we also have the Gamma team as required for Apocalypse, and this one supposedly was required for Morgan Le Fay. We're going to talk about that in a second. But supposedly the other team was required for Apocalypse, the Gamma team. This one is required to obtain Morgan Le Fay, no longer the case, which is great. And therefore there is no other justifications to play with these characters. There is no justification to increase these characters even more. Spider-Punk does single target damage, okay, then the special does damage, in raids does double of the damage outside of raids, okay. It requires you to have all the web warriors, otherwise it's gonna do trash damage. Then we have the ultimate that in raids applies trauma, in raids this, in raids that, okay man, it's trash. The multipliers were always very low, and I guess this is because they want you to use them as raiders, because they want the enemies to have defense down, because they want your characters to have offense up. But this never worked out. It never worked out the way the developers wanted. On Web Warriors dodges, if they evade, you are going to get offense up. It only lasts for 1 turn, and that's a big problem. Buffs that only last for 1 turn are completely irrelevant. Negative effects that only last for 1 turn is completely irrelevant, because depending on the speed bar of the character, if you apply the positive effects at the end of the turn, it's not gonna matter because it's already over. And the same goes for the negative effects. So Spider-Punk, he never got anywhere. This guy, once again, this lunatic, he told people to take a Spider-Punk to Dark Dimension 5, and then people complained to me that they were stuck on the city nodes of Dark Dimension 5 because they took the recommendations of this lunatic. And I told you from the start of the Web Warriors, this was not a good team. The only good character was this one. This is a good character because he has Evade on the basic with a very high rating. He has Drain on his special with a very low cooldown. He also applies slow and defense down for multiple characters. And you can pair up this character with other teams. He had a lot of flexibility. You could pair him up with a Brotherhood. You could pair him up with Astonishing X-Men. You could pair him up literally with any other characters because he has viability on his own. Something that his team did not have. Spider-Punk, Scarlet Spider, we didn't talk about Ghost Spider, but we're going to talk about her. None of those characters have viability on their own. Then he has this stun with slow, which also has increased focus. Very good for PvP, very good for Avengers Tower, very good for different game modes, including Dark Dimension. And finally, he has the passive that gives him speed bar whenever he dodges, and you get dodges all the time with his basic. And then this is one of the biggest problems of the Web Warriors, is that they were so relying on this ability. But once again, because the positive effects, they only last for 1 turn, you cannot count on them. And this was also the problem that I had with this newest team, with the Death Seed, is that if they were relying on Magneto to have speed all the time, then the team would be trash, because you need to have the buffs for more than 1 turn. Otherwise you cannot extend them, otherwise you cannot fully use them. And yeah, this was a big problem of the OG Spider-Man, but it's only something that you can take advantage of in raids. Outside of raids, you could not use it anyway. Then taking a look at the other characters, we have Miles. Miles works okay with with the Young Avengers, but you have to sacrifice or Echo or Kate Bishop or American Chavez. Usually would sacrifice American Chavez, but even like that, his damage is not very impressive, his utility is not very impressive, and the control effects that he has, like Disrupt and the Turn Rewind from the special, they are pretty decent, but you have to use them in such a specific situations that it would still not be good enough. And in terms of the Web Warriors team, he would also not provide much. Once again, it's that very specific situations of applying the Disrupt to prevent a taunt or to extend the ability block on one target. But Miles was always a bad character because he has so many single target abilities, because after you do his ultimate, there is nothing else for you to do. There is no way for you to obtain energy and to use this character more often. You'd be better off with Miles now on the Rebirth team, where you are going to be able to obtain energy coming from Captain America. So that's the thing. If you have a team that is so limited by their abilities that they're going to be doing single target damage all the time, then it's just not a pleasant experience. Finally, we have Ghost, and Ghost is probably the biggest failure in terms of character, because the kit is pretty decent, but the cooldowns are just terrible. This ultimate ability, starting off with 3 energy out of 6, it completely crippled the value of this character. If this ability was like turn 2 or turn 1, this character would be amazing. This character would have so much flexibility with different teams. You could use this character in multiple places, not only in raids. It's not the case, and because of that, because this character was forcefully limited to be only usable in raids, it completely crippled the value. And this is why I never took her to Gear Tier 15, 16 and Gear Tier 17, because there is no reason to invest on this character. Outside of raids, she doesn't do anything. Then she has her passive. Her passive is okay. Then she gets ability energy in raids. For Web Warriors, you need the full team to obtain this energy. So that's another thing that we don't see with the Rebirth team, is that even if you don't have the full team, you can still play with them, and that's going to be fine, which is amazing. You need to have some flexibility so you enjoy and play the game the way you want, not the way the developers want and not the way the developers think we want, because relying on dodges, relying on evades, relying on these things to get buffs, it's terrible. It's RNG based. No one likes to have massive amount of RNG. Like with the Rebirth, there is also block chance and so on, but it's not comparable to the amount of dodges and the amount of RNG that we would have with the Web Warriors. Not only would have RNG with the negative effects that you spread, you'd have also RNG with the crit chance, you'd have RNG with the dodges, with the evades, we'd also get RNG with which buffs you get from the passive of OG Spider-Man. So overall, this was a complete fuckfest, and I'm 100% glad that the Web Warriors are done and completely over, because it was never a good team. It was a mistake by the developers to create a team like this. It was a team that frustrated everyone, and many people over-invested on the Web Warriors. Many people put a lot of teal gear, a lot of red stars on these characters, because this team was so frustrating, because this team was so goddamn frustrating with all their RNG mechanics. So I'm glad that is over. Now, talking about Web Warriors, they were a requirement to obtain Morgan Le Fay. Is this still going to be a problem for you? Do you still have to invest on the Web Warriors just to obtain Morgan Le Fay? Because, yeah, if you want Apocalypse, you definitely want Morgan Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay on herself is a very powerful character in all game modes. All game modes, not just raids, not just arena. She is useful in all game modes. So, do we still need to invest on the Web Warriors for this? Of course not. Because we already have several runs of the Morgan Le Fay Scourge event, and I'm not even sure if we are going to get another one. That's also another situation. But because we already had so many runs, if you are a new player, if you are only able to complete the first 4 nodes, that's fine, because everyone else already has Morgan Le Fay. So you'll always unlock her, and you'll always obtain additional stars for her, in case the event comes back, of course, but you'll always be able to obtain shards for her, yellow stars for her, because everyone else already has her. That's the good thing about the leaderboards. Maybe you're not going to be able to obtain a 6 yellow star, 7 yellow star on the first run, but after 3 or 4 runs, you are definitely going to get her to 7 yellow star without over-investing on trash characters like the Web Warriors. On top of that, the developers are doing another thing, which is making shards available for her through other events. So maybe it's going to be bad in terms of gaming experience, because you are not going to be able to experience the trash that was the Morgan Le Fay event, but maybe that's not a bad thing, because I'm going to be honest, the Morgan Le Fay event was 100% trash, relying on dodges that you had 1% of 1% to get the perfect RNG for you to execute. I'm exaggerating. It was like you had 3% chance, if I remember correctly, 3 or 4% chance of getting the right RNG. You need to get evade on OG Spider-Man to allow him to attack first, and then Miles to go first, and without that RNG you'll not be able to go through the nodes. So it's actually a good thing, maybe if you don't experience this, because it was disgusting. It would take several hours. Many people took over 6 hours just to go through that node, and it's just ridiculous. So I'm glad that it's over, and yes, don't listen to idiots like this one. No, yes, they are dead, 100% dead in all game modes, and that's a good thing, because this was a trash team from the first day, and I'm glad that the developers are allowing players to obtain Morgan Le Fay shards through other methods that are not just a Scourge event, because once again, that Scourge was disgusting, and the fact that Web Warriors rely on tons and tons of RNG to be successful is just something that we don't want to see again. So yeah guys, that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, and if you found the video helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. Let them know that you don't have to invest on the Web Warriors anymore if you are a new player. If you like Marvel Strike Force content, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you check out the other videos where we are going to talk about the new Rebirth characters, and also Winter Soldier, Captain America, and additional characters that you can use with them in raids. So make sure you check that out.